Do you frequently have meetings inside of the boardroom where you are in front of stakeholders and higher-ups and you need to be able to move your agenda forward? Well, in this video, what I'm going to share with you is how do you sound and how do you appear confident when you are communicating inside the boardroom? And this is an important skill. It goes beyond communication skills. It goes beyond public speaking. And the reason why is because the boardroom is where decisions are made. The boardroom is where you have a higher visibility, and the boardroom is where you have relationships, opportunities to create relationships with higher-ups that have key influence on your agenda and a key influence on your professional development as well. So let's go on these key tips on communications in the boardroom. There are 6 key communication tips that I'm going to be sharing with you today, and I'm going to share them under the acronym A.B.O.U.N.D. So each of the communication tips will begin with that letter, A.B.O.U.N.D. So there are 6 tips. The first tip, communication tip in the boardroom number 1, starts with the letter A. And A stands for articulate with conviction. Conviction means belief in your message. Conviction means belief in your suggestions. Because when you are in the boardroom and you are in front of higher-ups, they want to know that you believe in your message and they want to know you have a point of view. So this is your opportunity to articulate why you believe in what you do and why you are suggesting or recommending that solution. Or if you are suggesting a change and pivot in direction, why is that the right path moving forward? Why is that suggestion the one that you are putting forward? Because up until now, you might be familiar with a permission-based society. We have been living under that as we were growing up, going through college and so on. We have been used to operating in a permission-based society where we ask for permission and we ask, is that your expectation? Does that work for you? Is that okay for you? Does that make sense to you? We're so used to asking permission. But when you are an executive, as somebody in that boardroom, they want to know that you have conviction. They want to know that you're not here asking for permission. You're not asking for an apology either, but you are here confident in what you are suggesting. And you can see the path forward and how that vision, the mission of the future is going to be achieved through what you are suggesting. So that is communication tip number 1, is to articulate with true and genuine conviction. Communication tip in the boardroom number 2 begins with the letter B, and B is to build meaningful relationships with stakeholders. So meaningful relationships. What constitutes a meaningful relationship? A meaningful relationship is one where there is fair exchange. Because let's face it, you are working in a business. And business, a sustainable business with success, depends on the fair exchange of their productivity. So if you are in front of boardroom members, this is important to have that meaningful fair exchange. That's how you create a sustainable and equitable relationship with them. So sustainable fair exchange, think about reciprocity, where there is a meaningful output and a meaningful input, where there is value. What you are providing for that relationship is a value in exchange for the effort that you output. And the exchange is also true. Their output as well, and they can expect a fair exchange for their output and a benefit to them to what they're looking for. So think reciprocity. That is fair exchange. The principle of fair exchange is very important in business, and the principle of fair exchange is very important in stakeholders. Because there are people that are in the boardroom and they're putting their careers there and forward as well. They're putting their points of view forward as well. They're taking risks in making decisions that they're about to make. And they have a vision for the future they want to create. So you're here and you might be influencing those decisions. You might be here to be wanting to push your agenda forward or suggest a pivot in direction. But this is what you believe to be true and how you can support your company in being successful in their industry. And this really does need to come from a sustainable fair exchange. How can you articulate how what you're suggesting or the solution that you're proposing, how is that a fair exchange to the stakeholders in that boardroom? What output is it going to require from them? And also, what is the exchange that they can receive from it after they have implemented your idea? So think this through before you communicate in the boardroom. That is one of the most important ways of preparing for your presentation or preparing for your pitch or preparing for your communication in the boardroom, is to understand what is the fair exchange. Because the only way that businesses are successful in the long run is that they are able to produce a fair exchange from their productivity. Communication tip in the boardroom number 3 is A.B.O., and the O stands for operate as a business owner. You are in the boardroom. That means you are face-to-face with high-level entrepreneurs, business owners of themselves, or advisors to the business owners. This is where it's important to understand, how do business owners operate? And there's two key areas in where business owners operate successfully. The first key area is in the strategic vision. So this is where you're coming into the boardroom, you're preparing for your presentation or your communication. Ask yourself before you enter that room, do you understand and do you know what the strategic vision is for the company? Do you know and do you understand what the strategic direction is in the industry? How it plays out in the marketplace as well? Do you understand and do you know the strategic direction that the high-level CEOs and the boards of directors, if they're publicly traded, do you understand what their strategic direction is with respect to their values and where they see the company going, where they want to progress their success? Do you know what that strategic direction is? That's area number one. The second area is how much of an expert are you in the business? Business owners are experts in their business. They're experts in their industry, which means that they have current knowledge and they understand the current condition and the state of affairs. How well is your knowledge in the state of affairs? How well is your knowledge in the current conditions of the marketplace, the current conditions of the business as well, and the factors that are acting on the business that might impede or might help its success? So operate as a business owner in terms of having that on the forefront of your expertise. This is your opportunity now. Instead of focusing on your technical knowledge, instead of focusing on being good at what you did, this is now an opportunity to expand your horizons and expand your time and space horizons as well to become a business owner. And when you operate that way inside the boardroom, you communicate differently. You communicate their language and they can see that you are one of them. So that is communication tip number 3, actually, to operate as a business owner. Communication tip in the boardroom number 4, it's A.B.O.U., and U stands for understand the perception of others. Perceptions. Perceptions are very personal to an individual, and perceptions are entirely shaped by one's value structures. And everybody's value structures are different. You're going to be in the boardroom with your own value structure bringing into it, and every person in that boardroom with you has their own unique value structures. And I submit to you that when it comes to value structures, individuals see the world through the lens of their values. Individuals make decisions through the lens of their values, and that's how their perceptions are influenced when they observe the things going around them through the lens of their values. So this is where it's important to understand people's perceptions, particularly their perceptions of you. How do they see you? How do they understand your message? How do they understand your conviction that you are articulating? How do they understand you as a business owner, as an expert in the industry, as an expert and understanding of the condition and state of affairs? What is their perception of you on that? Because sometimes when it comes to navigating the power dynamics in the boardroom and you have that awareness of their perception of you, this is where you could be more successful at navigating your influence that you want to have on their decision. But more importantly, how to navigate the power structures so that you can move your agenda forward and to be able to build meaningful and equitable relationships continuously. To know what they want, to know what is the most important priority for each individual in the boardroom, and to be able to articulate your idea or your agenda in terms of their values. And when you are able to do that, you're going to significantly increase the probability of them receiving it, understanding it, being attentive to it, and also supporting it. Right? So that is communication tip number 4, is to understand other people's perceptions, most likely and more often their perceptions of you. So far, I've only covered 4 communication tips in the boardroom, but as of right now, if you're listening to this and you're saying, yes, I realize now why that is so important, and this is what I'm struggling with the most. It could be as a business owner. It could be articulating with conviction. It could be formulating business relationships with your stakeholders. Any one of those things. If you would like to receive help on that, then I invite you to book a call to work with me closely. And below in the description on the first link is an application for you to talk to a member of my team. And this is where we're going to explore the right fit. And if it is the right fit for both of us, then I'm going to be inviting you to join a group of other executives, other team leaders who also, like you, have communications in the boardroom. And every week I'm going to mentor you personally on how do you obtain that business acumen? How do you articulate with conviction? How do you navigate the diplomacy and the political landscape of your environment? I'm going to train you personally on how to be successful in those things. And the outcome that you can desire is to be more visible, to be able to lead with laudable leadership, and more importantly, to communicate with conviction. So if you're serious about having those results in your career path, then click the link below and I look forward to working with you on the inside. Communication tip in the boardroom number 5 is A.B.O.U.N. And N stands for Navigate the Boardroom Dynamics. Now, when it comes to boardroom dynamics, there are 3 key areas under the boardroom dynamics. I'm going to talk about those in turn. The first dynamic of the boardroom is about the unwritten rules of the boardroom. There are unwritten rules when it comes to the culture of the boardroom. Understand what those unwritten rules are. It could be languages that they don't understand, or it could be languages that they don't prefer to use. It could be ways to visualize the strategic direction. It could be ways to communicate and the ways to introduce yourself, whatever it is. There are unwritten rules to the culture of your particular boardroom. Seek to understand those unwritten rules. That's the area number 1. The second area under navigating boardroom dynamics is to understand the power distribution. And yes, I am referring to politics. So the power distribution is, how does influence get distributed? How does authority get given and received as well? Who defers to who? Does anyone in particular have veto power? So these are key questions to understand, and they're just examples of a few questions. But make no mistake about it, when you are in boardroom, among other key decision makers and stakeholders, there's going to be some sort of power structure. So seek to understand that. So that is the second dynamic of boardroom. And the third dynamic under the boardroom is to understand what are the boardroom's objectives and initiatives. And this one is the most important, because every time you meet in the boardroom, there is some sort of intentionality. There is a purpose for that meeting. There is an expected outcome. There's a desired outcome. There are some results that we want to produce. There's a progress that we want to make. So what is the objective of the boardroom? And it could be all the way from micro to macro as well. There are micro objectives at specific meetings. What decision are we going to make? Is this even a decision-making meeting? Or is it not? So what is the objective? What are the objectives? What are the primary priorities as well? So it's important to understand these 3 key dynamics of the boardroom. Communication tip in the boardroom number 6, and it's A.B.O.U.N.D. D. D stands for Develop Strong Communication Skills. Specifically, I'm referring to what do you communicate in the boardroom? Because when it comes to the boardroom, it is most likely going to be a decision-making meeting. So this is where it's important for you to communicate the essence of your message. Notice I said the essence of your message. I did not say communicate everything you know. I did not say communicate every single detail of your plan. I said communicate the essence of your message. So this is important to come in with the discretion of what is the essence of my message. And it's important to know what is the essence of my insights, my principles that I want to apply here. What is the essence of it? And communicate that. And more importantly, when you are communicating the essence of your message, do so in a way that it is easy to understand and impossible to misunderstand. And those are the essence of strong communication skills. I've been doing trainings around boardroom meetings and boardroom presentations a lot lately. And one of my clients in my classes asked me, well, is it okay to be over-prepared for a boardroom presentation? And what constitutes over-preparation? How do I prepare? What's the right amount of preparation? One of my clients asked me that, and I felt that it was a very insightful question to ask. So in my next video, stay tuned for it, I'm going to share my answer to that question about being prepared in the boardroom. So if you want to know how to prepare for boardroom presentations, that video is coming right up next. I'll see you there.